Welcome back to the Are You in the Book podcast. My name is Eric Webinaw, the president of the Baseball Blue Book. And today we're excited to have new head coach Colton Punches at Olivet Nazarene University. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great. Appreciate having me on. I'm really excited to talk about Olivet and kind of talk some baseball things. So appreciate it.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you joining, and I'm sure there's a lot of things going on in your household as well as the program. Just kind of getting yourself acclimated into a new city, a new house, a whole lot of new things, and really enjoy when I get a chance to talk to coaches that are making a transition to a new program. Just so many things going on, and so before we begin, I encourage everyone to subscribe to the channels that they're listening to. YouTube, subscribe and share. We're also on all the audio podcast channels. You can also follow us on social media. And as well, Colton Punches information it can all be found in the Baseball Blue Book app. You can download for free and just do a simple search for Olivet Nazarene, and you can get all of his contact information. All right. So, Coach, as we do with all of our programs, we love to hear kind of about your journey to your new program. So why don't you go ahead and begin?
Yeah. It's funny thinking back through it. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it's 7 years now, and it creeps up on you. But I got my start in coaching actually when I was a player at Huntington University. I started coaching for the Indiana Chargers travel organization. And at the time, which was a huge benefit for me, and I didn't know it, was they were very connected to Driveline, which obviously is very popular in baseball now.
Yep.
But back when Driveline was getting popular, the Chargers, through Justin Barber, who's the pitching coach at Taylor, and Joel Mishler, who is now the athletic director at Glen Oaks Community College, they got early connected with them. And so all that player development stuff, the Indiana Chargers are like the Driveline of the Midwest almost. And so I got to learn a ton of great things there. And I coached as a senior, going into my senior year at Huntington, and helped them out with their winter travel organization. So as a player, still trying to figure out as a player, but also coaching. But once I was approaching my last couple months as a senior at Huntington, I went and applied for, I can't remember the exact number, but probably 50 to 60 GA positions. You just cast a wide net. And
Yep.
I think I heard back from 2 and got 1 interview, and that was Wisconsin Lutheran College, which is a D3 up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And got my first chance there and was all gung-ho about it, and was able to be the pitching coach right away, which is crazy thinking back, a kid coming out of college having that responsibility, but it was awesome. I got to learn a lot, got to work with guys right away and kind of start implementing things and experimenting with what worked for me. And so did that for 1 year. But then I got an opportunity at Taylor University, which is a phenomenal program, been successful for a really long time. One of the very best NAIA programs as far as wins, losses. They were in the World Series this 2 years ago and have been to several national tournaments in a row. But Justin Barber was the pitching coach there, who I had worked with the Chargers, and they had a part-time position come open. And my time at Wisconsin Lutheran was great, but Taylor had just been being such a great program, and their head coach Kyle Gould being so connected and just done an awesome job. It was just a phenomenal opportunity for me. And so I didn't finish out my second year at Wisconsin Lutheran College. I jumped to Taylor as a part-time guy, and I lived in, as a part-time guy, you're not getting paid much. So you're looking for as cheap a housing as you possibly can. And I lived in the upstairs attic/apartment of these 2 like 80-year-old couple, and just the shower, like the ceiling was like this high, the spout was right here. So, but it was awesome for me. It's like, man, I get to pay $250 a month for rent. It's right next to campus. And so that was the COVID year though. So learned a ton again, just in the fall, learning how a successful program does things. Took a ton of notes, tried to make it as much full-time with my ability there as I could, and ended up, once COVID hit, my position as a part-time coach was furloughed. And so potentially it was going to come back, potentially it wasn't, but that next step was looking for a full-time assistant coaching position. So again, applying for a lot of different jobs, and Mid-America Nazarene was one that kind of happened through connections. I didn't apply for it, but Ryan Thompson there connected with Kyle Gould, and I would think I was their second option, but their first option fell through. And so ended up getting an interview and ended up getting the position there as the pitching coach and recruiting coordinator as a full-time. So that was awesome because now I'm doing all the recruiting, doing the legwork with that. And again, working with another great coach in Ryan Thompson at MNU, who has just built a great program there, has done it in a great way. Not only has he won conference championships, made it to 2 NAIA World Series as a Midwest school, which is impressive, but his teams have won 2 character awards for the entire country. And so just all the way around a great opportunity there. And was there for 3.5 years where, again, learned a lot, was able to have a lot of responsibility. We won a lot of games, went to 3 national tournaments and 2 World Series appearances, which was phenomenal. I can't speak more highly of that program and Ryan Thompson and the people there. But then a situation opened where Madonna University was a position in Michigan and the Detroit area. And I'm from Michigan originally, so the stars kind of aligned and went for it, got the position and spent the last year there. We made it to our conference championship series in our tournament, so had some success there. But this job at Olivet opened up, and a lot of things, I kind of learned through being a head coach for a year, also being an assistant, was not only is it important to find the right fit as the players for the school, but it's important to find the right fit for you as a coach.
Right.
And Olivet being a Christian school, strong academic school, one that I had a lot of connections with through Mid-America, and my wife who grew up in the Nazarene church. It just fit a lot of things. And then to speak for Olivet as far as campus, as far as facilities, it's just phenomenal. Everything's very high quality with what they do. And so kind of went through the application process and went through the interview process, and it was just apparent that I really believed it was a place that was going to be a great fit for me, but also kind of felt like the Lord opened some doors there too. So that's where I'm at now. So that's a short snippet. I feel like I could talk a long time about that, but yeah.
No, I think that's great. I love talking to coaches about their journey, because one thing it does is it allows, I think, parents and players to listen to really the ups and downs, the struggles, and what you just said perfectly is the finding the right fit. It's important, and coaches may have a little bit more flexibility of finding that fit than players, right? Players, you got 4 years, you have 4 years of and possibly 5 of really, the ability to play at the collegiate level. So finding that fit is so important.
Right.
Now, as you moved around, and I love to correlate also with coaches with just out there in the business world and different jobs. When I was going through, it's finding each one of those type of responsibilities as you move through, so that you can learn and understand kind of the back end of recruiting, the back end of pitching. Yeah. Because when you become a head coach, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to be in the pitching rooms, right? Or at the recruiting trips or those things. You have to respect and trust the people that you bring in, but it's hard to understand what's required unless you've done that. So talk a bit about the things that you've brought, and you've named so many great coaches through your journey. What are some of the things very specifically that you think that you're going to be able to take and bring into the Olivet's new program that you believe that will really benefit not only your staff, but also the players that are going to that will take the opportunity to join your program?
Yeah, no doubt. I think from different, Mid-America and Taylor are both Christian schools, but how Ryan Thompson and Kyle Gould did are pretty different. As far as at MNU, we recruited a lot of transfers, junior college, Division I, Division II transfers. Where at Taylor, it was very much high school, very much looking to build off of developing guys. And so those two spectrums helped me a lot. Because coming from Taylor, I was like, I know this way to do it. Right. But then experiencing at MNU is totally different. And being able to blend that, I think, will be important. I know as myself as a recruiting coordinator, year one, I was like, man, I'm going to bring in the best recruiting class, and this is going to be perfect. And quickly found out how hard recruiting at the small college level is. Anywhere it's hard, but specifically at the small college level. And so I had to learn to be flexible. I had to learn, okay, I can't just get whoever I want. I have to understand what the niche is for this school, for what we're doing, and where I'm going to be able to spend my time wisely. Because, you can spend lots of time on the phone, on the road, recruiting people, and waste a lot of time. And so I think what I've learned specifically is you find the right niche for your school and your university and your baseball program. And it doesn't mean you can't go over after good players, but it does mean you don't waste your time. And so I think that's going to be key. I think things like just how to communicate with guys, the process to follow, how to put on a great visit, how to be personable. I think those things I've just learned by doing a ton of phone calls, doing a ton of visits where, oh, that one didn't work out well. Well, I'm gonna shift my strategy here. And so you kind of find that sweet spot. So I think all those little things are going to line up really well as well. And just with how we're going to do things at Olivet, I think from Taylor and Kyle Gould is expressing like, hey, we're going to find the right fit of people and the character of the guys. We're going to recruit talent as well, but knowing that, with the Christian school and the high academic, that if we aren't getting fits for that, you're going to have a lot of headaches and a lot of tension with who you get. And so that's incredibly important. So all those things I think are going to give us a good place to start and a good place to go with all of that.
That's great. You talked a bit about the coaching side and kind of going through and not wasting your time. I love that, not wasting your time. And you've learned through probably a lot of trial and error through these, and then also listening to different philosophies. You mentioned one being development with high school players. The other one is through the portal, those transfers that are coming in. I'd like to flip it. Advice that you will have that you could have for players and parents that are going through this, because I think that message right there, I've been doing this for a long time. I haven't heard, so congratulations, Coach. I haven't heard the stop wasting your time, advice. So I'd like you to expand on that. Talk to the parents and players about not wasting their time.
Yeah, that's so important because you see so many guys that, oh, I'm going to go here because of facilities, because of the level, Division I. I've lost so many really good players that would have been great players for us at Mid-America or wherever, to a Division I that a guy's just chasing the Division I logo, the NCAA logo, and it's not a great opportunity for him. The program has that success, whatever. And so a player ends up having a horrible experience and leaves after that year, And so what I would say is understand that baseball is obviously going to be important to you, but it's only a portion of your experience. And if you don't consider, okay, how's the academic fit? How's the campus fit?
Yeah.
How is, if you're looking at a Christian school, am I interested in that? Do I value that? Am I open to it? Because if you don't, you'll be maybe happy on the baseball side, but the other, what I would say 70 to 80% of the academics, the campus life, the living in the dorms, whatever it may be, is not going to be as much fun, and it's going to create some stress in your life. And what I would say is unhappiness. Yeah. And so, I look for a coach who has a philosophy that you can connect with the kind of style that you're looking for. If you're looking for a disciplinarian, make sure you find a coach who is that. If you're looking for a guy that is more relational and more flexible, make sure you find that, but also find the things academically that are going to fit. Find the area, find the campus life, find all of those things, because that will give you such a great roadmap to where it's like, now I have this smaller pool of schools and I know I can go on visits and that the one I'm going to pick is going to be a great fit overall for me. So I didn't know that going through college. I ended up finding a place, I think just through the Lord's leading, that did take me there. But that's what I would have told myself as a high school student, told my dad if we were going through it again.
Isn't it true? It's the things that are the most important at the end of the day are the things that you the least amount of time that you spend actually focusing on, right? I mean, yes. I've heard coaches talk about, the where you eat, the dorm life, the going back and forth from classrooms, the weather. I mean, there's so many things that you can get enamored by the baseball side. Which is great. I think that's very, very important. But on the other side, when you're going to college, I would think that you'd want to find some places that can be challenging, right? The reason we
Yeah.
go to college is to learn, not just to kind of fit. It's not the job. It's not the goal is to get to college. It's part of the journey. I'd like you to
Mhm.
speak about that. Talk about, a lot of coaches, they say this isn't a 4-year commitment, it's a 40-year commitment.
Yeah.
You're lining up kind of the rest of your life based on these decisions of an 17, 18
Yeah.
year old, right?
Yeah. No kidding.
You talked about the Lord kind of guiding you, which is fantastic, which is, you pray that's the result. Talk a bit
Mhm.
about your responsibilities, the head coach, and
Oh yeah.
what that takes in kind of guiding these, because you're bringing in these kids. Boy, they know everything for about a week, and then boom,
Yeah.
they hit the wall. Talk a bit
Yeah.
about what they can do, levels of expectation, specifically to what you're going to be building at Olivet. I know you've been there just a couple weeks. You've got probably a lot of
Mhm.
ideas and things that you're already putting in place. Kind of talk about that philosophy. You mentioned philosophy.
Yeah.
What is your philosophy when it comes down to it?
Yeah, it's so great that you asked me that question because I think you asked me 2, 3, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to really nail it down. But I'm reading a book called The Culture System by J.P. Newburn, and where it really helps you kind of get it focused in. And so I've kind of boiled it down to, and I've always felt this way, but I've kind of been able to communicate it now of the philosophy that I want to always coach from is that our goal as coaches at Olivet is going to be helping players realize what their top potential is as a baseball player, as a person, and helping them with the tools and the experiences necessary where they can then not only realize it, but then go after it. And that's not just, hey, you're 4 years as a player here. Yeah, I hope you do become the best pitcher you can be.
Yep.
But in anything that you're going to do, I hope that this experience is going to directly impact you, help you achieve those goals and chase after that.
Yep.
And I had that experience at Huntington. And that's why I got into coaching was I want to be able to do that same thing. Because college, you're so impressionable. It's first the version of an adult you're going to become.
Right.
And it's like, man, that's such an awesome thing to be able to do. And so that's what I'd really boil down in my philosophy. And what I want to create at Olivet is where guys that when they would leave, they'd be able to say, man, that was a first class, transformational, and life changing experience where they were challenged and they were forced to face adversity, but that they were given the ability to have a phenomenal work ethic, to have a confidence and belief in themselves that they can do anything they want with their lives and that they can and be able to tackle challenges, whether that's work, whether that's relationships, whether that's coaching, whether that's, hey, we have a elimination game in the conference championship here and we need to win this game. It's a lot of pressure, but we can handle it.
Right.
So that's what I would hope to dream that would come from experience at Olivet. And that comes from not being comfortable. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be an opportunity where it's going to be a lot of hard work, and we're not going to, hide away from that. But if you're looking for an experience like that that's going to impact you, then you will not regret your experience at Olivet. And when I look back, how I want to coach, I think it comes down to a few things. And these values that I'm going to mention are how I try to lead because I think they're incredibly important. But I don't force them to say every guy has to believe in these certain things or have them written on their bedroom wall.
Right.
But I think the first thing is you have to love what you're doing. You have to love who you're doing it with, and you got to love the process. Because if you don't have those things, it's going to be really hard to be successful at whatever you're doing. And so, I talk about love, and it's not the ooey gooey romance. It's the, do you just love getting after it? Do you love the process of what it's going to take to be here? And so that's number one. I think trust is so incredibly important to one. For me, it starts with trusting in the Lord because coaching and leadership is hard. And
Yep.
you know this of running your own
Yep.
thing, so many moving pieces. And so you got to really trust that the uncontrollables are taken care of and that you can go in and just worry about what I can control. And so that's number one, but also trusting the coaches you've hired, trusting your administration, and then trusting the players. And if you're working with a player and there's no trust there, no development's going to happen.
Right.
He's not going to reach his top potential. So choosing to trust, but also working to be worthy of that trust, I think is so important. I think work ethic you can't get by. I have a saying that we'll tell all our players at Olivet that I'll ask them a million times to recite probably is the basis of our optimism is our work ethic, and so we can be optimistic about the future, about what we have coming because our work ethic is there and it propels us to whatever we have. The last one is just honesty.
Yeah.
You got to be honest with yourself to build trust. You got to be honest with each other. And I always say the key to getting to the top level of your potential is honesty. And if once you have that key, you can unlock that door. But if you're not honest with yourself and honest with where you need to go, that's it's not going to work. So that's what I boiled down my philosophy to. I know it's a lot, but
No, that's good. That's good. It understanding what you need to do as a leader is really the most important part, right? We have all these challenges, and the growing is to get to the point that you don't know everything. You just know how to handle everything that you don't know. And I think that's
yeah,
what you're talking about. The other thing that I loved what you said is you love what you do and you love who you're doing it with. That's something that's pretty simple with a lot of these players, right? They're part
yeah,
of travel teams. They're part of great high schools. They're part of all
hmm
of these really neat things. All of a sudden now they hit the collegiate level, and I think the process part is got to be the
hmm
biggest challenge. They're coming in, they go, I love baseball. I like the roster here. I like my teammates. What is the process? And this could go on for a long time, but what is in your words the process, and what should these kids, as they're listening to this, going, okay, I hear process all the time. Coach, tell us
yeah,
what that means in your mind.
yeah. That's so good. I think, if I were going to start with the team, which we will be obviously at Olivet, it's starting with, hey, what's our goal? What do we want to achieve? Okay, great. That's our result. Put that away. Now, what does today ask of us that is going to be getting us there? And so the process is just what's in front of me today.
Yeah.
Whether if it's a recovery day, I'm going to have the best darn recovery day I possibly can. I'm going to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. I'm going to make sure I hit my nutrition. I'm going to make sure that all these things are in line with my recovery day, so I have the best recovery day. Next day, if it's like, okay, now we have a high output day, practice, it's about having the very best practice I possibly can today,
Right.
the very best lift that I can have today, to be fully present where you are and to make the most out of just where your feet are. And, a lot of people talk about process, but that's all it is. It's now that I have a goal and a dream and a vision, it's the path day by day, task by task. Hey, I got to be eligible to play. I'm going to go to class and get that and be the best student I can be. That's part of the process. So it's those little things that are right in front of you and just doing them to the best of your ability. And you stack those up. It might only make you 1% better today, but you stack that up over 200 days, you're a lot better by the end of the day. So that's what we try to preach to our guys on a consistent basis.
That's great, Coach. And you know what? I love that because, you can tell the difference between the people that put 100% effort in everything that they do, whatever they're doing. That's what really stands, they stand apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
I love the thought of, when I see a pitcher getting up there at the beginning of an inning, he's not lobbing the ball in there. He's throwing it because he's preparing for what's about to happen. Then on the flip
Yeah.
side, you see people taking grounders and they're lollygagging around. They kind of toss it. It's like, you can tell the guy that's preparing for what's actually
Yeah.
going to happen. I'm not saying those
Yeah.
guys they're already at the pinnacle, but I always look at that going, that's really what life is all about, right? It's
Yeah.
taking the precious time that we have
Oh,
and
yeah.
doing the best that we possibly can, no matter what it is. I loved what you said on that recovery day. Man, can those be boring too? Well, I've got to
hmm
eat 100. I got to be 100% right on my eating. I have to sleep really
Yeah.
well. Those are tough to do
Yeah.
in the midst of it. It's easy to talk about it.
Right.
What are some of the things that you have in place? And we're wrapping this up, and I appreciate your time, Coach, of accountability, right? You've got a great
Yeah.
staff. You're putting people together. One thing that I love about college baseball, which again, athletics at the collegiate level brings a level of accountability that you don't find anywhere else. I could go to college and
Yeah.
not be part of anything, and I'm literally out on my own and
hmm
I've got all the responsibility. college baseball, particularly you and your program, what are some of the things that you have that are really important to you that are going to help these kids stay accountable and help them achieve those goals you talked about that you create and then kind of put them on the side, and now we're going to go after them?
Yeah, phenomenal. I've heard Tim Corbin say this, and I'm a Tim Corbin junkie at Vanderbilt. I could listen to him speak all day,
Yep.
but he says it right. He's like, kids are looking for accountability and discipline.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily they would say that, but for anyone to be as good as they possibly can be, you need both. And so, I think as far as the accountability side on the academics go, it's meeting with your positional coach and just, hey, we're going to look at your grades each week. If you're good to go, like,
Right.
hey, we're not going to force you to be doing anything you don't need to be doing.
Right.
But you also don't, if I truly care about you as a coach, I am going to hold you accountable because I want you to be the best you can be. I want you to reach your top potential.
Yep.
And if that means, hey, you missed 2 assignments, we're going to sit here and email your professor, and then we're going to figure out how you can get these back on track, And if that, in the moment, if that in the moment gets on you a little bit, I'm sorry, you'll realize at some point how that was good for you, and I think the same thing with nutrition and that sort of thing is at Olivet. We're going to have individual nutrition guides for each guy that tells you how many protein grams, how many fat grams, how many carbohydrates to eat per day. And we're going to do weigh-ins every Monday morning at 7:30 before class starts. So it's your most ideal weight, but we're going to see if you're on track. And if you're not, then we're going to go back and look at your calories and everything. And again,
That's great.
I want you to be as good as you can be. This means I gotta make sure there's an accountability system to where you're on track. Same thing for weightlifting. We'll give them sheets each month. If you are looking to get bigger and stronger, then you need to be struggling on your last 2 to 3 reps. And then the next week, you should be trying to get 5 to 10 pounds heavier. So having them fill out each rep, each set, how much weight did I use? And then Friday afternoon or evening, going through and highlighting where they didn't get that so that they know, like, I need to push for this. I need to see these numbers. And the president at Olivet Nazarene, when on my interview, said this great, and it's so simple, but he said, if you value something, you better be able to measure it. Because if you don't measure it, then it's not that important. And so if we're saying we want you to be big and strong, if we want you to be great with nutrition, then we're going to measure it and make sure you're on the right path. So those are ways that we hold accountable, and we don't want accountability to be a negative term. It's a positive term. Everybody needs it.
Yep.
First, self-accountability is so important, but having those in your life that can keep you on track, we can never do it alone. So
100%. You know what? Being able to roll with the punches with Coach Punches. How about that?
Yeah, I've heard that a million times. So that's a good one.
Yeah, I didn't want to be cliche there, but you got to say it. You really bring. I love what you're saying. The accountability side. I actually was listening to as a child psychologist talking about education, and boy, you just hit home a lot of things about these kids want that. Corbin does understand what that's doing. We're doing kids a disservice that we're allowing them to create what they want without kind of that protection around them. And I think that's so important. Coach Punches at Joliet Nazarene University. We really appreciate the opportunity to spend this time with you. Again, talk about the program real quick. What are you expecting from the recruiting class? What makes people interested in looking at your program? Just kind of the overall vibe of not only why you love it, but why would a player, why would a parent, why should they check out your program?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, we're located in Bourbonnais, Illinois, which is also butts up right against Kankakee, Illinois. So that area, it's about an hour south of Chicago. So, close enough to get to a Cubs game if you're a Cubs fan, or take a day trip to Chicago, but not so close to where you're getting all the traffic and everything. So it's a cool area. The things that I think make Olivet stand apart is, number one, it's a fantastic academic institution. We're ranked number 10 in the U.S. News Regional Best Value Schools. So you're getting a phenomenal education in multiple areas, which a lot of small schools, you can't say that. So I think an athlete can come get a phenomenal baseball experience, but also have a phenomenal academic experience where you're leaving with a great degree and prepared in whatever field you choose. Secondly, Olivet is a Christian school, and so that is not something that is just, yeah, we're a Christian school, but it's not really a part of. It's very much a part of what everything academically, from campus life to dorm life to even the baseball side, that you're going to experience. And so, if you're a kid that is open to that or values the Christian um, values and the lifestyle there, it's a place where you're going to get that enveloped in every single part of your life and your experience there. And so I was very much looking for that as a player and noticed how much that impacted my life. So I think that's a phenomenal attribute to Olivet and what we do here. It's also a program with phenomenal baseball history, lots and lots of great teams. Guys like Dan Hefner, who's the head baseball coach at Dallas Baptist University, attended Olivet. You have Ben Zobrist, who was here for 2 years, who's very much still involved with Olivet. You have Josh Altman, who got drafted just a few short years ago, who is still playing professionally. And then you have Ben Heller, who's just in the major leagues, was, I think, drafted in 2013. So not only just, hey, we send guys pro, like guys drafted. And so just a phenomenal baseball experience with great indoor facilities and just a great campus. The one thing that stood out on my in-campus interview was just the high quality. Everything's done from admissions to academics to just the campus layout to, it's a little thing, but it shows so much of just like the greenery around campus is so well maintained.
Right.
It's just a high level of just quality and everything. So all those things stand out about Olivet, which make it a great experience.
That's awesome. Coach, I appreciate it. You can find all the information on Olivet Nazarene also in the Baseball Blue Book app. Download it today. Coach is updated. His contact information is there, as well as all the social media links for the coach, as well as the university. Coach, thank you so much for joining the Are You in the Book podcast. You have a great day.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you. All right.